Welcome to our deep dive into conscious business practices. You sent us a pretty fascinating collection of materials on capitalism and its alternatives. Looks like you're really interested in Lou Hamburger.
Yeah,
He has some strong opinions about traditional capitalism and
yeah,
where it's headed, and he proposes this idea of transparism as a potential solution.
yeah,
Ready to unpack this with us?
absolutely. What I find so compelling about Lou Hamburger is that he doesn't just critique capitalism. He offers a really detailed framework for a different way of doing business. He lays out specific principles for both individuals and businesses to create what he calls social stability, a state where everyone can thrive without exploiting others or the planet.
Okay, let's dive into those criticisms first. Hamburger doesn't mince words, does he?
No, he doesn't.
He states in his book that businesses are unwittingly destroying our planet. And he even goes so far as to outline several end games for capitalism. Some pretty dire scenarios if we continue on this path.
Yeah, he really pulls no punches. He argues that businesses, in their pursuit of profit and growth, often end up exploiting resources and people. He points to a number of potential endgames for capitalism. For instance, he suggests that the Western economic system could collapse due to environmental disasters caused by corporations,
Oh, wow.
or that increasing inequality could lead to widespread social unrest. He even raises the possibility of global conflict sparked by resource scarcity.
It's a sobering thought, isn't it?
It is.
That our current system, even if unintentionally, could be leading us down a path of self-destruction.
It is. But what's important to remember is that Hamburger doesn't believe these endgames are inevitable. He sees them as wake-up calls, urging us to examine the underlying principles of our current system and consider alternative paths forward.
And that's where transparism comes in. It's not just about being nice or implementing corporate social responsibility initiatives. It's about a fundamental shift in the goals of business and how they operate.
Exactly. Hamburger believes that we need to move away from maximizing profit and power and towards maximizing productivity and well-being for all stakeholders. This means embracing transparency in business practices and focusing on the long-term sustainability of the business, its employees, its customers, and the environment.
One of the things I found really helpful in his book was this table he provides, contrasting the principles of capitalism and transparism,
Right.
almost like a cheat sheet for conscious business,
Mhm.
breaking down the differences into categories like personal principles and business principles.
It's a brilliant tool. It really highlights the fundamental differences in the mindsets behind the two systems.
Yeah.
For example, capitalism values individual gain, whereas transparism prioritizes collective well-being. It's a completely different way of thinking about business and its role in society.
He even provides examples of companies like Unilever, who have started to implement conscious business practices by ditching short-term profit goals in favor of sustainability initiatives and focusing on the well-being of their employees and the environment. And what's interesting is they've seen financial success with this approach.
Exactly. This is a key point that Hamburger emphasizes. He doesn't believe that conscious businesses have to sacrifice profitability. In fact, he argues that in the long run, businesses that prioritize social and environmental responsibility are likely to be more sustainable and ultimately more successful.
So he's not just promoting some idealistic utopia, he believes that transparism can actually be a more viable and profitable model for the future of business.
Precisely. He sees it as a practical and necessary evolution of our current system, one that addresses the inherent flaws of traditional capitalism and offers a more sustainable and equitable path forward.
Let's dive a little deeper into some of the key distinctions between capitalism and transparism. Hamburger's table really lays out these differences beautifully.
Absolutely. One of the most striking contrasts is the focus on competition versus collaboration. Hamburger argues that the competitive nature of capitalism is actually inefficient, and that businesses could achieve much more by working together towards shared goals.
It's a pretty radical departure from the traditional capitalist mindset, isn't it? That idea of businesses collaborating rather than constantly battling for market share.
It is. But think about it this way. If businesses are constantly fighting for the same slice of the pie, they're expending a lot of energy that could be used to grow the pie as a whole.
Right.
By collaborating, they can share resources, knowledge, and create solutions that benefit everyone involved.
Hamburger also highlights the importance of transparency in all business operations, something that's often lacking in traditional capitalist models.
Transparency is crucial for building trust. He believes that businesses should be open about their decision-making processes and even their salaries. This creates a culture of accountability and encourages ethical behavior.
It also makes it easier for consumers to make informed choices about which businesses to support. If a company is transparent about its practices, consumers can feel confident that their money is going towards a company that aligns with their values.
Exactly. Transparency empowers both consumers and employees to make informed decisions and hold businesses accountable for their actions. It creates a more level playing field and fosters a sense of shared responsibility.
Now, you might be thinking, this all sounds great in theory, but how does a business leader actually start implementing these principles in their organization? Does Hamburger offer any practical guidance?
He does. He provides a range of practical tips, and he emphasizes that these changes don't have to happen overnight. Even small steps towards greater transparency and a focus on well-being can make a big difference. He's not suggesting that businesses become charities. He believes that by taking care of their employees and creating a more equitable and sustainable business model, companies can actually improve their bottom line and contribute to a better world at the same time. It's about moving away from a zero-sum game where one company's success comes at the expense of another and towards a model where everyone can thrive.
So it's a win-win scenario. Businesses help each other succeed, and consumers benefit from a wider range of choices.
Precisely. It's a more holistic and sustainable approach to business that recognizes the interconnectedness of all stakeholders.
This is all really fascinating stuff. Let's explore some of Hamburger's personal principles and how they've shaped his own journey. We've been unpacking Lou Hamburger's critique of traditional capitalism and his alternative model, Transparism. Now, I'm curious to explore how these ideas play out in his own life. He's not just talking the talk, he's walking the walk.
That's one of the things that makes Hamburger so compelling. He's incredibly transparent about his own life, his struggles, his successes, and how he applies these principles in his personal journey. For example, he openly discusses his experience with financial stress after losing his job and facing a major home renovation project in Amsterdam.
It would have been easy to fall into despair in that situation, but he actually leaned on his principle of enoughness to navigate that challenging time.
Enoughness is a core principle for Hamburger. It's the belief that we always have enough, even when it feels like we don't. He encourages focusing on the abundance that's present in each moment, rather than dwelling on what we might be lacking. It's a powerful mindset shift that can help us move through difficult times with greater resilience.
He even applied this principle when he was deep in debt, visualizing himself as already financially free, almost like he willed it into existence through sheer belief.
He talks about the power of visualization and the importance of aligning our thoughts and beliefs with our desired outcomes. It's not just about wishful thinking, it's about actively shaping our reality by focusing on what we want to create rather than what we fear or lack.
He also dives into the importance of a healthy body and mind, sharing his own experiments with nutrition exercise.
Hamburger is a firm believer that our physical and mental well-being are interconnected. He advocates for taking care of our bodies through regular exercise, a healthy diet, and avoiding harmful habits like smoking and excessive alcohol consumption.
But what I appreciate is that he's not preachy about it. He talks about his own struggles with maintaining a healthy lifestyle, like his experiment with a raw food diet, which, as he admits, didn't go so well.
His honesty and willingness to share his own missteps make him so much more relatable. He's not claiming to have all the answers. He's just a guy trying to figure things out just like the rest of us.
He also talks a lot about the importance of self-love and self-trust as foundational principles. He believes that we can't truly love or trust others until we love and trust ourselves.
This is such a crucial point. Hamburger emphasizes self-acceptance, recognizing our own strengths and weaknesses and embracing our imperfections. He believes that true self-love is unconditional and not contingent on external achievements or validation.
It's about loving ourselves for who we are, warts and all, and recognizing our inherent worthiness.
And from this foundation of self-love and self-trust, we can then develop other important qualities like self-responsibility and self-reflection. These help us take ownership of our lives and learn from our experiences.
Another principle that resonates with me is his idea of non-materialism. It's not about rejecting material possessions altogether, but rather about finding happiness and fulfillment beyond the acquisition of things.
Hamburger believes that true happiness comes from within, from our relationships, our experiences, and our connection to something larger than ourselves. He encourages us to focus on what truly matters in life, rather than getting caught up in the pursuit of material wealth and status.
It's about shifting our focus from having to being, from accumulating things to cultivating experiences and connections.
It's a timely message in a world that often equates happiness with material success.
So we've explored Lou Hamburger's personal principles and how they've shaped his own journey. But how do these principles translate into action in the real world? How can we apply them to create positive change in our own lives and in the world around us?
That's a great question and one that Hamburger addresses directly. He offers concrete suggestions for how to start living a more conscious life, both personally and professionally. He believes that even small changes can make a big difference and encourages a gradual approach.
It's about taking those first steps, however small they might seem, and building momentum from there.
Exactly. And it's about being patient with ourselves and recognizing that this is a journey, not a destination.
I'm eager to dive into those specific suggestions. Let's explore how we can put these principles into practice and start creating a more conscious world. So now let's bring it all home. How can we take these ideas and turn them into action? How can we start living more consciously in our own lives and contribute to a more conscious world?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's one thing to grasp these concepts intellectually, but how do we actually integrate them into our daily choices and actions? Um, the good news is
Yeah.
Hamburger doesn't leave us hanging. He offers some very practical steps we can take to start living more consciously, both as individuals and as participants in the business world.
He's all about walking the walk, isn't he?
Absolutely.
He wants us to take these ideas and actually do something with them.
He believes that even small changes can create a ripple effect, leading to positive transformations in our own lives and in the world around us. He encourages a gradual approach, suggests we start by implementing one or two principles that resonate with us and then build from there. It's about progress, not perfection.
So what are some of the specific actions he recommends for those of us who are ready to start living more consciously?
He offers a wide range of suggestions, from personal practices to tips for transforming businesses. On a personal level, he encourages individuals to pay their taxes generously, obey the law, work diligently, and support those in need without expecting anything in return.
These might seem like pretty basic ethical guidelines, but it's amazing how often they get overlooked in our fast-paced, self-centered world.
Right.
It's easy to get caught up in the pursuit of personal gain and forget about our responsibilities to the larger community.
He's reminding us that conscious living starts with taking responsibility for our actions and contributing to the well-being of society, recognizing that we are all interconnected and that our individual choices have an impact on the collective.
He also provides specific guidance for businesses that want to transition toward a more conscious model. He encourages them to prioritize maximizing productivity, promote transparency in their operations, and foster a culture of collaboration rather than cutthroat competition.
He believes that businesses have the potential to be powerful forces for good in the world, and he offers a roadmap for how they can transform themselves to become more ethical, sustainable, and ultimately more successful in the long run. These suggestions highlight his commitment to creating a more just and equitable society, and he believes that businesses have a responsibility to play a role in achieving these goals. It's about recognizing that businesses are part of a larger ecosystem and that their success is intertwined with the well-being of their employees, their communities, and the environment.
It's clear that for Hamburger, real change starts with a shift in consciousness, both individually and collectively. He's not promoting a specific political ideology or economic system. He's advocating for a fundamental transformation in how we think, act, and relate to each other and the world around us.
He's inviting us to step outside the limitations of traditional paradigms and envision a new way of being in the world, a way that prioritizes well-being, collaboration, and sustainability.
His vision might seem idealistic to some, but he presents it with a sense of grounded optimism. He offers practical steps and real-world examples, demonstrating that these principles are not just lofty ideals, but can be integrated into our everyday lives.
He's not suggesting that this transformation will be easy, but he believes it's essential for creating a better future for ourselves, our communities, and the planet. It's a call to action, an invitation to participate in creating a world where everyone can thrive.
Lou Hamburger's work offers a powerful challenge and a hopeful vision for a world that desperately needs both. We encourage you to delve deeper into his ideas, consider how they resonate with your own values, and perhaps even start experimenting with some of his suggestions for living a more conscious life.
Remember, even small changes can have a ripple effect, creating positive change that extends far beyond ourselves.
It starts with each of us. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.